The frozen moon of Arkan 7 was silent, covered in endless white snow and sharp ice mountains. Storms screamed across its surface, and the cold was strong enough to freeze metal in minutes. Beneath this deadly world, deep under the ground, lay an old research station that humans abandoned years ago. No one visited this place anymore. No one believed anything alive could survive here, but something was alive. Inside a giant block of ice and glass, a young alien girl named Siren was trapped. Her small body was curled inside the crystal-like cage, her skin pale blue, her eyes half open but full of pain. She had been there for weeks, maybe longer. Time had lost meaning for her. She had stopped hoping for rescue. She had stopped calling for help. Sometimes she wondered if she was already dead. Every few hours, the ice around her made strange cracking sounds, like the world was breaking slowly. She could not move her hands or feet. Her voice was trapped inside her throat. Only her heart, glowing faintly inside her chest, reminded her that she was still alive, above the ground. Far from the frozen nightmare below, a human rescue team moved across the snowy field. Their mission was simple: check old tunnels for dangerous gas pockets and report the condition of old human structures. They did not expect to find anything alive. Most of them did not care. Except one man, Ethan Ward. Ethan was a quiet, serious human with strong shoulders and calm eyes. He had worked in rescue missions for many years. He believed that no life should be left behind, no matter how small or strange. While other workers rushed to finish their job quickly, Ethan always double-checked everything. That day, as he walked across the ice field, his radio started making soft tapping noises. At first he thought it was interference from the storm. But the pattern repeated. Tap, tap, tap. Tap. Ethan froze. He had heard something like this before years ago when a child was trapped under collapsed metal walls. Weak tapping. A silent call. He lifted the radio close to his ear. The tapping grew louder, faster, almost like a heartbeat. Ethan looked at his team. "Do you guys hear that?" They shrugged. "Just noise, Ethan. The station is empty. Even bacteria can't survive here." But the tapping felt too organized. Too alive. Ethan pressed a button on his wrist scanner. A faint signal pinged back from deep below the ice. It was weak, almost dead, but it was real. "Someone is down there," Ethan whispered. The others laughed. "No one is down there. Only ghosts, maybe." But Ethan's instincts screamed at him. Something or someone needed help. He grabbed his tools, activated his heat suit, and began walking toward an old collapsed tunnel entrance. "Ethan, stop!" his teammate shouted. "We don't have time for this." But Ethan kept going. He did not look back. The storm wind beat against his helmet, but he pushed forward. He had made his choice. The tunnel entrance was half buried under thick layers of snow. He dug through it using his thermal shovel. Steam rose around him as ice melted. When he finally squeezed into the opening, darkness swallowed him. The air felt heavy and cold, almost sharp. He activated his helmet lamp. The walls were covered in long cracks of blue ice. Small pieces of glass lay scattered across the floor, as if something powerful had broken through the structure long ago. As he moved deeper, the faint tapping sound returned. Tap, tap, tap. His breath caught. This time he recognized the rhythm. It was not just random tapping. It was a heartbeat. A weak one. He followed the sound around a corner, down a broken staircase, and through a collapsed metal doorway. Each step took him deeper into freezing darkness. His suit temperature dropped. His fingers trembled. The air felt thinner the more he descended, but he refused to stop. Finally, after many minutes of crawling through narrow spaces and sliding down icy slopes, he saw a strange blue glow in the distance. It pulsed softly, like breathing. Ethan moved closer. The glow grew brighter. Then he saw it. A huge block of transparent ice and glass, smooth and shining like crystal. Inside it, curled and shaking, lay a small alien girl. Her hands were pressed against the inner surface. Her eyes were half open. Her lips trembled with cold. The soft blue glow came from her chest, her heart, still fighting for life. Ethan froze in shock. He had never seen an alien child before. But he didn't need to know her species to recognize fear, pain, and suffering. She looked barely alive, like she had been forgotten in this grave of ice. He placed his hand against the glass block. His glove felt the freezing temperature instantly. Inside, Siren's fingers moved weakly toward his hand. Her small hand pressed against the glass from the inside. It was the first time in weeks she had seen another living being. Her eyes locked onto his. Ethan breathed sharply. "Oh God, you're alive." The girl's chest glowed brighter when she saw him. Her heartbeat accelerated. She was trying to speak, but no sound came out. Ethan's throat tightened. He felt a sudden surge of anger at whoever trapped her, whoever left her here. He checked the structure of the glass ice block. It was extremely strong, built from mixed alien and human materials. It wasn't natural. Someone had created this prison. Who did this to you? Ethan whispered, though he knew she couldn't answer. The cave trembled suddenly. Snow dust fell from the ceiling. The ground shook. Ethan turned fast, scanning the structure. The old research station was unstable. The walls were collapsing slowly. He looked back at the girl. Her eyes widened. She understood the danger. Ethan activated his wrist communicator. "Team, I found someone alive." "Repeat, there is a living being trapped underground." Static answered him. The storm above was too strong. He was alone. The floor cracked behind him. A loud boom echoed through the cave. A large chunk of ice fell, missing him by inches. The entire tunnel system could collapse any moment. Ethan knew he had two choices: run back to safety, or stay and save the girl. He did not think twice. He removed his plasma cutter, aimed it at the ice glass block, and began melting the outer layer. Sparks flew, steam rose, and his gloves heated up quickly. The cutter struggled. It was not built for alien materials. The girl's eyes followed his every move. Ethan gritted his teeth. "Don't worry. I'm not leaving you." The cave roared again. A loud cracking sound came from above. Ethan shielded his head with his arm, but kept cutting. His suit temperature warning beeped. His hands began to burn, but he didn't stop. The girl inside blinked slowly, watching him fight for her life. Her small hand rested against the inside wall, as if trying to reach him. The cutter sparked dangerously. Ethan yelled, "Come on! Just break!" A thin fracture appeared across the ice glass prison. Ethan's heart pounded. He cut along the fracture line. The block shook. The ice cracked louder. Then boom, a piece of the block snapped open. Cold air burst outward. The girl's hand slipped free and fell weakly onto Ethan's glove. She was freezing, light as feather, weak as wind. Ethan reached inside with both arms and gently pulled her out. Her body collapsed against his chest. She barely had strength to breathe. "I've got you," he whispered. But the danger was not over. The entire cave ceilings groaned. Ice pillars cracked. The world around them began to fall apart. Ethan tightened his grip on the girl, turned toward the exit tunnel, and ran, slipping, sliding, stumbling but never letting her go. Behind him, huge ice blocks crashed to the ground. The entire underground station was collapsing. Siren's faint heartbeat pulsed against his chest. She was alive. But only if he could get her out in time. And as the tunnel ahead of him began to crumble, Ethan realized something terrifying. He might not survive the escape, but he refused to let the girl die here again. The tunnel shook again as Ethan carried the fragile alien girl through the collapsing passage. Pieces of ice and metal rained down around him. Every few steps he had to shield her with his body, taking hits from falling snow chunks and frozen stones. But he didn't stop. He didn't even slow down. The girl's head rested weakly on his shoulder. Her skin was icy cold, almost like touching frozen metal. Ethan kept checking her breathing. Sometimes it was there. Sometimes it felt like it was fading. "Stay with me," he whispered. "Don't close your eyes." Her eyelids fluttered. A dim blue glow pulsed from her chest, her strange alien heartbeat. It was slow. Too slow. He pushed himself harder. Behind them, the ice cave collapsed fully. The loud crash sounded like thunder exploding underground. If Ethan had been 2 seconds slower, both of them would have been buried alive. He didn't look back. Frozen danger sweat dripped down Ethan's forehead despite the freezing cold. His suit's temperature alerts flashed red and yellow. Ice had cut through parts of his sleeve. His hands were numb from holding the girl, but he never loosened his grip. At the far end of the tunnel, he saw a dim light, an opening back toward the abandoned station's exit route. "We're almost there," he said softly. The girl didn't respond. Her breathing grew weaker. Her glow dimmed again. Ethan felt panic rising in his chest. She'd been freezing inside that block for weeks, maybe months. Her small body was beyond tired. Ethan knelt, placing her gently on the ground, and removed the heated emergency blanket from his pack. He wrapped it around her tightly. Steam rose as the blanket activated, giving her warmth. The girl shivered lightly for the first time. A good sign. Ethan sighed in relief, until he heard something behind him. A metallic click. Then a sharp humming sound. He turned fast. A drone. Floating silently. A scanner light blinking red. This wasn't a rescue drone from the human team. It was alien. The drone hovered a few meters away and scanned both of them. After a few seconds, a robotic voice echoed across the tunnel. "Subject, Siren, detected. Escape protocol activated. Capture required." Ethan's eyes widened. Siren, the little girl, was known to them. They wanted her back. But why? What had she done? Why did they trap her in ice? He didn't know. But he knew one thing. They were not taking her again. The drone fired a stun beam. Ethan dove forward, rolling across the icy floor while holding Siren tightly in his arms. The beam struck the ground where they had been standing, leaving a burning mark on the ice. He grabbed a chunk of broken metal pipe from the floor. The drone charged another shot. Ethan took a deep breath and threw the metal pipe with all his strength. It hit the drone directly in the center. The drone shook, lost balance, then exploded in a small burst of sparks. The tunnel fell silent again. Ethan whispered, "You're safe. I won't let them take you." Then he picked her up and continued running toward the exit. The first words after several long minutes, Ethan finally reached the surface door. He slammed his fist on the panel. The old system tried to power up, struggling because of years of neglect. "Hurry, hurry," Ethan muttered, shivering. Finally the door hissed open. Warm air from the heated shelter above flowed down the ladder. Ethan carried Siren inside and climbed up carefully. Snowstorms were roaring outside, the whole world was white. But he wasn't afraid of the storm anymore. Only Siren mattered. Inside the old surface shelter, Ethan laid her on a soft medical bed. He removed her frozen boots, her cracked bracelet, and cleaned the frost from her hair. He placed heating patches on her arms and legs. Slowly, very slowly, her blue skin returned to a soft purple color. She opened her eyes, and for the first time, she whispered something. Her voice was tiny, almost broken. "You came back." Ethan leaned forward, surprised. "You can speak?" She nodded weakly. "I thought I would die in the dark." Her voice shook, full of fear and sadness. "You saved me," she whispered. Ethan smiled softly and placed his warm hand on top of hers. "You're safe now." But Siren shook her head. "No, not safe. Why?" Ethan asked gently. She pointed weakly at her chest where the faint glowing heart pulsed under her skin. "They fear this. They think I am dangerous. They tried to hide me." Ethan frowned. Her glow wasn't a threat. It was weak, gentle, almost beautiful. "Why would anyone fear this? What are you?" Ethan asked softly. Siren swallowed hard. "I am from the Lefari people," she whispered. "Our hearts glow when we feel strong emotions: fear, hope, sadness." Ethan listened carefully. "They captured me because my glow was bright," she continued. "Too bright. They thought I had power. Dangerous power. But you don't." Her eyes filled with tears. "I am just a child." Ethan clenched his fists. Rage burned in his chest. Whoever locked her inside that ice prison had no mercy. "No heart." He wiped her tears gently. "No one is hurting you again," he said. A new threat as Siren rested. Ethan tried to contact his rescue team. Static. No signal. He stepped outside the shelter and the snowstorm slapped against his face. He scanned the sky. Two dark shapes appeared above the horizon. Alien ships. Small ones. Scout ships. Ethan's heart dropped. They were here for Siren. He rushed back inside. "Siren, we have to move, now." She tried to sit up but gasped in pain. Her body was still too weak. Ethan lifted her gently into his arms. "We have to reach my main base," he said. "There are more humans there. They can protect you." Siren grabbed his suit weakly. "No, they will hurt you too. They think I am dangerous. They will not trust you." Ethan shook his head. "I don't care what they think. I'm not leaving you behind." Her eyes widened slightly. No one had ever said that to her before. Not once. A soft glow brightened in her chest. "Hope," she whispered. "Thank you, Ethan." He gave her a small smile, but then the shelter's roof shook violently. Boom! The alien ships had landed. Heavy footsteps approached. Metal armor. Weapon clicks. Ethan held Siren close and whispered, "I promised I won't let them take you. And I keep my promises." She rested her head against his chest. "Then I trust you," she whispered. The escape. Ethan grabbed his emergency gear and kicked open the back door of the shelter. Wind blasted inside, pushing snow into the room. He shielded Siren with his body and stepped out into the storm. Behind the shelter, 3 tall alien soldiers marched slowly, scanning for life signs. Their armor glowed faint red, their weapons ready. Ethan crouched low and moved behind a wall of snow-covered rocks. The wind was loud, covering the sound of his footsteps. He held Siren tightly, moving quickly but carefully. One alien soldier turned. Ethan froze. Snow blew across the field. Visibility dropped. The storm protected him. He used the chaos to escape. After a long, intense journey across the frozen plains, Ethan reached an old snow rover. He placed Siren inside its heated cabin. Her glow brightened again. "You're warm now," Ethan whispered. She looked at him with soft, grateful eyes. "You saved me twice," she said. "And I'll save you again," he replied, starting the engine. The rover sped off into the storm while alien soldiers chased behind them. Siren closed her eyes, feeling safe for the first time in her life. She whispered one last thing before falling asleep. "You melted the ice around me. Not just the one in the cave. The one in my heart." Ethan looked at her gently. "You're safe now, Siren, I promise." But he knew the danger was only growing. Behind them, glowing red lights of alien ships lit the sky. They were coming. And Ethan had no choice but to protect the girl who should have died, no matter what it cost him. The rover raced across the frozen plains, its engine struggling against the brutal Arkan 7 snowstorm. Ice hit the windows like bullets. The world outside looked like a white ocean, endless and angry. Ethan kept both hands tight on the controls, his jaw clenched with determination. Beside him, wrapped in thick heated blankets, Siren slept lightly. Her breathing was steady but weak. Every time the rover hit a bump, she moved slightly, pressing closer to warmth. Ethan glanced at her. Small, fragile, innocent. A child who had suffered beyond imagination. He promised himself again, no matter what happens, she will live. A signal in the storm. Ethan checked the radar screen. 3 red dots were moving behind them, fast, alien scout bikes. They were catching up. Ethan tightened his grip on the wheel. Of course they're fast. Why wouldn't they make this harder? He pressed the rover's boost. The engine roared, but the snow was too thick. The rover couldn't reach full speed. Siren suddenly woke up, breathing fast. Her heartbeat glowed bright blue under the blanket, brighter than before. They are coming, she whispered, voice shaking. Ethan looked at her. Don't worry. I'm here. But she shook her head. No, they are not just scouts. They bring the seers with them. Ethan frowned. Who are they? Siren closed her eyes in fear. They can feel emotions. They can sense my glow. Even through storms. Ethan cursed under his breath. So hiding wouldn't work. Running wouldn't work. He needed a plan. He pressed a button on his wristpad. A map appeared on the screen, their location, still 12 kilometers, from the human outpost. With the rover's speed, that was at least 20 minutes, but the alien scouts would reach them in less than 7. Ethan whispered, "Come on. Think. Then he spotted something on the map. A canyon, narrow, rocky, hard for ships to fly inside. Perfect for ambush. He turned the rover sharply. Siren held onto his arm, scared. Where are we going? To a place where they can't fly above us, he replied. Somewhere I can fight back. But you will get hurt, Siren said, voice shaking. Ethan smiled softly without taking his eyes off the road. I've been hurt before. I'll survive. Siren stared at him, confused. Why was he risking so much for her? Humans didn't even know her species existed until today, yet this human, this one man, protected her more than her own people ever did. A small tear rolled down her cheek. The canyon of ice. The rover entered the canyon, where tall ice walls rose on both sides. The space was tight, but the storm wind was blot here. Ethan slowed the rover and helped Siren sit up. You'll be safe inside, he said, fastening her seat harness. I just need to deal with our uninvited guests. Siren grabbed his wrist weakly. Don't go. They will hurt you. Ethan gently removed her hand. I'm not leaving you. I'm just making sure they don't take you. She shook her head, desperate. No one has ever fought for me. Ethan smiled gently. Then it's time someone did. He stepped outside into the icy canyon, the cold wind cutting his face. He grabbed a flare gun from the rover and climbed up a small rocky slope. Above him, the sky lit up red. The alien bikes finally entered the canyon. 3 soldiers, tall, armored, glowing helmets. Weapons ready. Behind them, a 4th figure walked slowly. Thinner, bones visible through dark armor. Eyes glowing white. A siren gasped from inside the rover. Ethan felt her fear even from where he stood. The seer raised his head and spoke, voice echoing across the canyon. Human, you hold the Lithari child. Return her. And live. Ethan shouted back, she's a kid, not a weapon. Leave her alone. The seer tilted his head. She is different. Her glow is strong, dangerous. She must be contained. Ethan gripped the flare gun tightly. No, she deserves a life. The seer's glowing eyes narrowed. Then you have chosen death. The soldiers raised their rifles. Ethan fired the flare. A blinding explosion of light filled the canyon. The aliens staggered back, shielding their eyes. Ethan used the moment to slide down the slope and sprint behind the rover. Lasers blasted past him, hitting the ice walls. Siren screamed his name. Ethan jumped into the driver's seat and shouted, "Hold on!" He slammed the rover into reverse and rammed it into the canyon wall, causing a huge cascade of ice to fall. With the limited space, the aliens couldn't dodge quickly. One bike was crushed under falling ice. The other two soldiers dodged and returned fire. Ethan grabbed a smoke grenade, activated it, and threw it out the window. Thick white smoke filled the canyon, mixing with the snow and creating perfect cover, but the seer walked through it easily. Glowing eyes cutting through the smoke, he raised his hand toward the rover. Siren's chest glowed bright blue. A warning. Fear. Ethan moved fast. He jumped out of the rover and rushed toward the seer. Yelling loudly to distract him, the seer turned. Ethan swung a metal bar he had grabbed earlier and struck the seer across the mask, cracking it. The seer hissed in pain. Blue fluid dripped from the crack. Ethan felt a surge of hope, but then the seer grabbed Ethan's arm and threw him against the canyon wall. Ethan groaned in pain. Siren screamed, "Ethan!" Her glow flared brighter than it ever had. Her glow was never a weapon. It was hope. Siren stumbled out of the rover despite her weak legs. She fell to her knees in the snow, both hands glowing bright blue at her chest. She looked like a small star trapped in ice. The remaining alien soldiers froze. The seer whispered, "Impossible. She should not glow this bright." Siren lifted her head, tears streaming down her cheeks. "Stop hurting him." Her voice echoed with emotion, fear, sadness, anger, and hope mixed together. And with every emotion, her chest glowed brighter. The canyon lit up blue. The soldiers stepped back in fear. The seer tried to raise his hand again. But Siren looked at him, and her glow pulsed once like a heartbeat. The seer's knees buckled. He fell forward, not dead, but overwhelmed by pure emotion. His mind could not handle the strength of her glow. Siren collapsed too. Exhausted. Ethan, injured but conscious, crawled to her and caught her in his arms before she hit the ice. "You're okay. You're okay," he whispered, hugging her tightly. She cried softly into his chest. "You came back. You always come back." Ethan smiled through pain. "I told you. I don't break promises." A new beginning. The remaining alien soldiers backed away, terrified of the child's glow. They lifted the injured seer and retreated toward their bikes. One soldier shouted, "We will report this. The child is not what we believed." Ethan didn't care. All he cared about was the girl shivering in his arms. He wrapped her in blankets again, lifted her gently, and carried her back into the rover. As they drove toward the human base, Siren rested her head on Ethan's shoulder. Her glow dimmed softly, calm. "Warm, peaceful," she whispered. "Why do you save me? I am not your family." Ethan looked at her and spoke softly. "You don't need to be my family for me to protect you. You're a child. You deserve safety. You deserve kindness. You deserve life." Siren closed her eyes, comforted. "No one has ever said that to me." Ethan smiled and brushed her hair gently. "Then I'll be the first." She reached out her tiny hand and held his thumb. "Thank you. Ethan, you freed me. Not just from the ice, but from fear." Ethan pressed her hand gently. "From now on, you're not alone." The rover continued through the storm, but inside its small cabin, something warm grew. Trust, hope, family. And when the human base towers appeared ahead through the fog, Siren whispered one final line. "Humans melt more than ice. They melt the darkness too." Ethan smiled. HFY, always.